Here is another session from the series Defense Against Dark Act. We are focusing on developing the knowledge, awareness, mental readiness to prepare our own protection shields against these frauds and intruders. In this session, we'll be discussing about work from home scams. This scam has caused significant distress, anxiety, and financial losses to our remote worker aspirants. Let us take a look at how this scam is usually being carried out. So the modus operandi is the fraudster usually establishing a communication channel with the uninformed people, people who are job aspirants who are looking for remote working jobs, and they're posing as recruiter. The fraudsters pose as recruiters. They you know, create a lucrative job offer scenario for potential victims, and they use a lot of fake data to make the job prospects sounds authentic. Now, as a natural reaction, the uninformed people responds with excitement and they register for the job. Now, as a next step, the fraudster asks the aspirants to sign certain agreements and they send a set of legal documents. And the uninformed people would usually, uh, in the prospect of a suitable job, they work in haste and they sign off the legal documents and send back to the fraudsters. And then fraudsters ask the aspirants to download certain app in their mobile and they make that as a mandatory step forward to get into the work from home job profile. And again, uninformed people, without giving much consideration, they install the app in their personal devices. And as a result, the app steals all personal and confidential data, and the aspirants become end up becoming a victim of work from home fraud. Now, some of the cases, the situation doesn't just end there. Um, the fraudster shows a certain unemployability reason and terminates the contract as per already signed agreements and impose a penalty as already provisioned in the contract. So the aspirants will now have to also suffer from the consequences of signing off those legal agreements as and a financial loss by uh, you know uh, paying up the penalty as provisioned in the contract. Now, what could what could be a counter strategy that one can leverage to protect himself or herself from these work from home scams? So the counter strategy demands a lot of situation analysis. So first of all, you'll have to be the informed people. You should be knowing that these kind of frauds are going on, and you need to be aware that any of these opportunities that are coming on your way could might as well be one of these scams, and you'll have to uh, you know handle it with caution to understand that whether these opportunities are real or are these fake, and what kind of situation you're really getting involved in. So the important aspect is to start doing the situation analysis as and when you're uh, experiencing a situation like this. Um, you need to respond with cautious optimism, and you need to ask for all details like details like what kind of agreements need to be signed, what are the clauses in those agreements, what are the uh, subsequent processes, what are the kind of software compliances that are to be maintained, what kind of personal device will have to be leveraged for official purposes, things like that. You'll have to, kind of ask all these questions. You'll have to collect the data so that you have enough, details with you to carry on a proper analysis of the situation. And you must not act in haste. So you'll have to respond with level headedness and clarity of thoughts to validate the situation. And during that process, when you're validating the situation, for sure, the fraudsters will, exert psychological pressure on you. They will create a sense of urgency. They will even uh, make you feel that you might end up losing the opportunity if you're taking too much of time doing these analysis. But you'll have to hold your emotion in check. You'll have to get a control over the situation, and you'll have to keep on deciding on the next course of action as for the the analysis as per the diligence that the situation demands. Offline validation is most important, and once you're being able to do that, once you're being able to validate most of the important areas, uh, then only you should get involved further for the next level of processing. This is the way to protect yourself from becoming a victim. Now let us get a little bit, get inside of this process of situation analysis. What kind of things that one should look at for these kind of work from home opportunities. So now this is a very common case that a potential recruiter is asking to install an app to continue with the job application. Sometimes it's like, even for a final HR level interview or something, they would want you to install a conferencing app, which is something that will help you uh, talk over a video call with the concerned department heads. Sometimes it's about an app to submit documents. Sometimes it's an app to submit your profile. So there are various these scenarios that usually these fraudsters come up with, and they would want this app particularly uh, to get installed in your personal device. And this is definitely a very this is a big risk area for you to get exposed in. So in general, for Android Apple devices, there are options to set up work profiles. So if a particular app is needed to be installed in your personal device, there are ways that the personal device can be set up, and there could be a work profile that can get created in your personal device, and you can set up that app that your um, prospective company is asking to install in that work profile. But the challenge here is that the work profile setup will necessarily need your companies, or let's say the prospective companies, um, involvement, their IT department's involvement. Their IT department will have to allow you to get connected to their work domains to have this work profile set up in your mobile. Now, sometimes that's not easy to have. Sometimes, in fact, if it is a situation where fraudsters trying to steal your data by, making you install an illegal app, they would obviously not offer you this option at all. But it's worth checking. It's worth checking because you would get kind of a sense based on their answers, what kind of legitimacy they have, what kind of IT systems they might be having, and what kind of IT systems that they will allow you to leverage going forward when you have a valid work contract with the company. So if setting up the work profile, etc., is not working out, you would still have to install the app to go ahead with this process. You should try and see if you can, have a separate mobile altogether with a new number that is only used for this professional purpose, the official purpose. Um, the moment you use the personal device for your, installation of these apps, it becomes very, risky because all your personal data becomes available to the particular app. Um, there could be another way though, if you really do not have another mobile handset, or you cannot afford another handset to install this app for work from home purposes, you could as well reach out to a mobile IT device security expert and have a validation from the person that whether the app that this particular company is asking you to install, how safe that app is and what kind of security risk it may pose to you if you are going ahead with installation. That subject matter expert review would essentially, give you a better control over, the situation. Now, some of the other precursory information that you should be aware of while you are carrying out this situation analysis on, this kind of work from home opportunities, uh, the laws are always, doing its best to protect your interest. India's Employment Act and Labor Law protects employees' interest who are based out of India. However, the contract getting signed between the parties in given context may or may not be fully in compliance with Indian Employment Act and labor laws. So before signing a legal document, you need to really take a deeper look at it. You need to probably even have a legal expert, a lawyer involved, so that all the clauses and compliances are properly understood. In this remote employment scenario or work from home scenario, it becomes important to understand which company is recruiting and under which company's payroll you, the candidate, will be onboarded, and how the legal contracts are established among the different parties. From legal perspective, not all employee companies may have their presence in India, so they may attempt to onboard Indian talent through their Indian partner companies. And you need to know this. You need to know who all are the parties, what kind of association they have with each other, what kind of involvement they have with each other, and how you fit into this whole ecosystem, right? Where is your answerability lies? Where is your which companies have the necessary level of agreement established with you? So in your potential line of interactions with with the different people that you'll be interacting with who are coming from these companies, you need to assess the genuineness of the scenarios. You need to ask details about the employer, employing company's website, publicly disclosed business profile, where are they registered, which country, which location, from where the work allocation will be done, the nationality of employed people, the financial stability of the company, the yearly turnover, growth prospect, and who are the customers for which this company is working, and whom are they doing business with. Now these details are important because it gives you a clear idea of the kind of culture, the kind of business directive the company is having, and how you fit into that business ecosystem. And then you need to ask questions about your job roles, responsibilities, skill requirements. You need to also be open and transparent. You need to understand from the recruiter why they feel that your profile will match the requirements. And you should also search on these public job sites about the jobs that are being advertised from these companies. What kind of jobs are they uh, offering? What kind of job descriptions are there in public sites? What kind of skill profiles they're really looking for, and how does that relate to your skill profile? Now, keep in mind that a lot of these fraudsters will use uh, company's name, but they may not actually belong from that company. So, in some way or other, you will have to find a mechanism to understand if they are really, representing those companies that they are actually claiming to be. And uh, some of the ways to figure this out is by asking them to, send you mails from the company domains. And if the mails are coming from company domains, and if you know the way to validate that, you should have that clarity that okay, you're really talking to the representatives of the particular company. Now, there is another session in this series which talks about how to validate an email. You might as well, take a look at that to understand how you can, validate these emails that you might be getting from these representatives of the company. Now, beyond that, you should also ask about the details of the person and particular agency who he or she is representing. If the person is from Indian employment partner agency or the recruitment company, and which company they are actually belonging to, and what kind of associations they have with the actual employing company, and how the agreements are looking like between them. So a lot of these details will give you a better idea of how this whole um, situation is uh, represented, how it is actually maintained, how is it uh, involving you in the given job landscape. And in all of these interactions, you should try and do as much of interactions possible over emails, and if not emails, then over calls. But if you're making these interactions over calls, then try avoid app-based voice and video calls as much as possible, and instead use the mobile phones, and have the calls coming on the mobile phones and record the conversations using the call recording feature. Now, once you're done with this situation analysis, you will still have to do the due diligence to understand the next course of action. So, as part of that, you should definitely try and gather as much information as possible on the potential employer, or also on the mediator, the recruiting company who is mediating, and any other partner companies that might be involved in the whole process. You need to do a due diligence from your side to understand the profile of each of these companies, and there is usually enough information available on public websites about these companies. Now, whenever you are receiving a legal documents, and whenever there is an ask to sign off those documents, you must involve somebody who is familiar with this legalities. If you can appoint a lawyer, please go ahead and appoint. If not, definitely someone who is entirely familiar with these uh, you know human resourcing engagements, who can give you a sort of a guidance that how this employment contracts and clauses are looking like, and how favorable those are for you. Then you also need to be extremely careful about the software requirements. You need to understand the expectations from you in terms of using your personal devices, and installing software on those and maintaining the softwares in your personal devices. What kind of expectations are there from the organization? And if you have that information available, you should as well go ahead and discuss it with a subject matter expert who is familiar with the information technology domain, and who is also capable to provide you the guidance in terms of the security risk that some of these software may pose for you as in your personal credentials. Now, once you have these different levels of due diligence done, you need to decide whether you want to go ahead with the next step or not. And if you are finding this to be fraudulent communication, you should definitely report this to Government of India's Chakshu portal. This is already rolled out. Sanchar Sathi website has this Chakshu portal already launched, and if you are providing the numbers, the telephone numbers from where you're receiving the calls, and if you're uh, suggesting the reason for your suspicion, there will be an independent validation done on that from the respective departments. So that's pretty much what we wanted to cover in this session. In summary, you can very well say that uh, gathering this much of information, collecting the data from different sources, compiling it, inferring right kind of decisions out of it, inferring right kind of course of actions that needs to be taken based on the data collected. These are not easy. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of bandwidth. It takes a lot of uh, mental processing capabilities. And this is needed because this is how you can protect your interest. This is how you can safeguard your interest. So, however, the situation might turn out to be, if you're keeping your mind centered, if you're keeping a check on your emotions, there should be enough pointers around you that can help you to get a hold of the situation and protect your interest. Stay observant, stay centered, keep your shield up. We'll come back with more recommendations and suggestions. Till then, stay tuned.